The train, for its type, is the most powerful vehicle on land. And the engines of Sodor are the power behind the docks, industries and branch lines that make up the world-renowned North-Western Railway. These are the stories of Sodor.
I've always found choice to be a rather strange concept, perhaps because I don't fully understand it. Whereas humans seem to be able to pick the course they will take through life, for us engines it's a little different. Every locomotive that has ever been built has been done so to fulfill a specific purpose, like pulling express trains, goods trains, or both. I wouldn't call this a bad thing, as such purpose gives us the drive to excel in our designated roles. That's not to say we are built with the expertise though. Indeed, we each had to learn how to handle our specific roles through experience and training. Even I had to be shown how to handle trucks when I first came to Sodor, for I had spent much of my career up till that point as a passenger engine. Thomas and Toby showed me the do's and don'ts of such work, sometimes through strenuous means, but it was because of them that I became quite the accomplished mixed traffic engine. Thus, when Percy joined our little crew, it was only natural our new recruit fell under Thomas and Toby's tutelage. Thanks to them, our number 6 became an accomplished shunter, expertly handling coaches and arranging trucks. He even took the occasional train himself when there was no one else available. He proved to be really useful, so much so that Mr. Starr decided Thomas should show him our operations on the Farquhar branch. Our number 1 was happy to do so, and began by giving Percy a tour of the picturesque line. Okay Percy, here we go! First up we got the Elm River. The locals will often fish underneath the bridge. My driver's always saying one of these days he'll dip his line into the waters from my cab. Next up we got the watermill. If you're into anything green you'll love this line. I am green, Thomas. Oh, right. This here is Dryer, and that there is the airfield. And here we have the old mill. What does it do? I don't know. I think it's just there for show. That there is Maithwaite. In the spring they deck the whole station out with flowers. Here we have the Toy Rex sawmill. The station itself isn't far off. And there it is. When you get to this junction, always take the right track. Why? What's down the other line? The mines. Careful if you ever go down that way. The ground's not too stable. This stretch of track will take you past Hackenbeck, which is right there. Just up the way there's a small paddock where you'll find Terence the tractor. Hi Terence. Hi Thomas. That's a quaint little cottage. That's where Mrs. Kindly lives. She lives at her name, I'll tell you. You'll meet her soon enough. And here we have Farquhar itself. So, Percy, now that you've seen the branch, what do you think? Oh, it's beautiful, Thomas. I will never get tired of working this line. Well, that's good, because we'll have plenty to do today. Yes, Mr. Starr mentioned something about a quarry. The Enofa quarry, that's it. It's along this track here, up in the hills. Well, show me, Thomas. I want to see every part of this branch line. All right, don't burst a piston. Let's go. The Enofa quarry had always been the economic backbone of the Farquhar branch due to the high quality of the stone mined from there. Even during the Depression, business remained steady with the quarry able to purchase its own engine, Clive, formerly of the Sodor and Mainland Railway. As I said on a previous occasion, after the Sodor and Mainland Railway declared bankruptcy in 1914, its 3 engines, Clive, Neil and Matthew, were all privately bought to service the various industries around the island. Neil worked the China clay pits near Brendam, Matthew serviced the lumber yard near Carlin, and Clive shunted trucks about Hanover. The quarry had always been good for us nor'easters, as we maintained an exclusive contract with the business that included delivering stone away from the quarry and taking supplies to it. On this day, Mr. Starr had been informed by the quarry manager that a big shipment of stone needed to go out and tasked Thomas and Percy with handling it. Good morning, Clive.
Ah, Thomas, you young whippersnapper. There you are. I thought I'd have to take these trucks on an effort myself.
I was just giving our new shunter a tour of the line. Percy, this is Clive. Clive, Percy. Hello there, Clive.
My, the engines keep getting younger, or I'm just getting older.
You're just getting older.
I can still match the best you have to offer, Thomas.
Yes, you can.
All right, enough chit-chatting. Time to get to work. I'm sure you noticed all those trucks in the sidings on your way in. That lot and more has to be delivered to Knapford by day's end.
By day's end? Is that possible? Of course it is, Percy. We're the nor'easters. We can do anything.
The way I figure it, I'll organise the trucks while you two take it in turns delivering them to Elsbridge. I'm guessing Henry will be there to take them on to Knapford after that?
Yep, he's just got to do a delivery first and then he'll be right there. The brake van's in their usual spot?
Yep, over by the machinist shed.
Okay, Percy, you want to start hooking those vans up?
No problem. All right, let's get to it.
The 3 engines soon got stuck into their work, organising the trucks before taking them down the branch 8 at a time as per safety regulations. For many hours they followed the routine of delivering them to Elsbridge before returning with their brake vans to do it all over again. By midday, 2 very long lines of stone-filled trucks had been marshalled in Elsbridge Yard, with Henry showing up in time to take them on to Knapford. The trio pushed themselves hard, working through their fatigue to chip away at the massive order, until finally only 1 delivery remained. Whew, after today I'll sleep for a week. A quick question, couldn't we have saved a lot of time and effort if Henry had come up here to take the trucks directly to Knapford?
Yes, we could have. The problem is the bridges and track along the branch aren't designed to take the weight of larger engines like Henry and Gordon.
Edward's been up this way, hasn't he?
He'd be the absolute largest engine that could. James also. Crikey, Thomas, didn't you teach this whippersnapper anything?
Only the essentials, like cracking off wires to old fusspots.
Don't let this one corrupt you, Percy. You did very well today.
Thank you. Yeah, you did good. In fact, I'll take the last lot of trucks on to Elsbridge. Are you sure? It's my turn. No, it's fine. You rest up here a bit, then head on back to Knapford. I'll see you there. Okay, thanks, Thomas.
See you, Thomas.
Later, Clive. I'm sorry to say that this delivery would not match the previous ones in that it would not be peaceful. As Thomas coupled up and departed, he had no idea what lay near the bottom of the hill. The line leading up to the Hanover quarry is a winding piece of track that crosses over the road and river several times. Some of its bends are also rather tight, which is another reason why larger engines could not make the climb and why smaller ones like Thomas can. Whenever taking loads down from the quarry, all engines know to take the descent slow to prevent a runaway. At one point, the line passes over an unmarked level crossing. While Thomas was making his way towards this crossing, he noticed a policeman was nearby.
Afternoon, Constable. Oi, hold up there.
Is something wrong, sir?
Why, oath there is. Where are your cowcatchers?
My what, sir?
Are you deaf? I said, where are your cowcatchers?
I don't have any. I'm a tank engine, not a tram.
Don't give me lip, boy.
I'm sorry, Constable. What seems to be the problem?
The problem is, it is the law that any engines travelling along an unfenced line must be equipped with cowcatchers and side plates to prevent serious injury to animals and people that may stray onto the line.
What? Since when?
Since the law was passed 2 years ago. Have you been travelling down this line in that time?
Well, yes, but I didn't know.
Ignorance is no excuse. Your regular law breaking makes it worse.
Come on, mate. We haven't had a single accident in that time.
Blind luck is no justification. The law is the law. I'll be handing you a ticket. Good day.
Thomas departed with a sullen look on his face. Despite not knowing the law, he was downcast that he had broken it. Furthermore, he was also worried about what Mr. Starr would have to say about this. At that same moment, I was rushing towards Knapford with a passenger train. I had to hurry for I had been delayed, and unfortunately, I arrived a few minutes late. I knew Mr. Starr wouldn't be happy, unlike James, who was just waiting to rip into me. "Alright, James, you clearly have something to say, so let's get it over with." "Come now, Edward, what do you take me for? I would never revel in your tardiness, nor would I mention how finally, after giving the rest of us so many lectures about being on time, you have finally fallen behind yourself. The situation was beyond my control. Unlike the first time you were late. What was the reason again? Oh, that's right, you had fallen asleep. Hey, I'd had a busy day, I was exhausted. If you can't take abuse, James, don't give it out." "Good advice, Edward. But this petty argument of yours does not belong in the station. You're professionals, so try and act like it."
"Yes, sir. Yes, sir."
Now, Edward, do you have a reason for being 8 minutes late? Our lorry had broken down the level crossing near Marston Heights, sir. I see. Just like that, Mr. Starr let the matter drop. Though strict, he was a reasonable man. However, I suspect he might have said more had the station master not rushed up to him in a panic.
Sir! Take a breath, Willie. What's wrong? I just got a call from Elsbridge. The police want a word with you about Thomas."
The station master outlined our number one situation, including the part about breaking some law we had never heard of before.
"That's ridiculous. It still needs attention, James. Edward, I need you to take me to Elsbridge right away."
"Yes, sir." Our director jumped into my cab and I was away, speeding down the line to help my friend. As I rattled along the line, I couldn't help but ponder the identity of the constable who had issued the ticket. Indeed, I had heard about a very strict officer who had just joined the Farquhar police and wondered if it was the same man. As I neared Elsbridge, Henry emerged from the yard with the final delivery of stone in tow, which included Thomas's trucks. I'm sure my expression matched his.
"A lot of nonsense, Edward."
Pulling up to the platform, I spotted the constable who issued the ticket. Sure enough, he was the same lawman I had heard of. He was in the company of a well-dressed man I recognized as Detective Sergeant Dennis Copeland, who just so happened to be a personal friend to Mr. Starr. "You all right, Thomas?" "I've been better, Edward. Don't worry, old boy. Mr. Starr will sort this out."
"What? He's here?" "Yes, Thomas, I am."
Together with Sergeant Copeland and the constable, who I believe was named Bentley, the three men gathered at the end of the platform to discuss the situation. For what felt like hours, the trio talked until finally Sergeant Copeland tore up the ticket on the grounds of this being a first offence. Bentley was none too happy, but we couldn't have cared less about that. "I say, well done, sir."
"Yes, thank you, sir. And sorry for causing trouble." "It was no trouble, Thomas. Indeed, I am partly to blame. As director, it is my responsibility to ensure my people know the law. Clearly, I have been lax in this duty, and I will make it right."
True to his word, our director did. His response was twofold. First, he had a fence built along the track leading up to Enofa, thus making it legal for any engine to venture to and from the quarry. Second, Mr. Starr had our chief barrister, Montgomery Ward, brief us on the various rail-related laws and statutes. This proved to be very dull and tedious, partly because Mr. Ward had all the charisma of a wet carrot, and partly because most of this legality involved using common sense, like ensuring the proper storage of dangerous loads. The seminars did inform us of previously unknown rules, however. For one, during night runs, we had to blow our whistles when passing signal boxes to alert the signalmen within. Soon enough, all the legal requirements of our jobs became second nature and we carried out our work without a problem. Unfortunately, for the longest time afterwards, Thomas got no peace from the middies.
"Make sure you shunt those trucks just right, Thomas. Don't want to get pinched again. Get lost, Diesel." So then I said, "Make sure to shunt those trucks just right, Thomas. You don't want to get pinched again." Very good, Diesel.
Aye, a good telling off. Just what they need. Yes, nicely done, Diesel. I wish I had your wit.
Well, the nor'easters provide their own material, don't they? It's times like these I'm glad I'm on the right side. Good afternoon, engines. Afternoon, Mr. Zorro. Hello, Mr. Zorro. Who's this gentleman?
This here is Tobias Hunt, a barrister. Head office has seen fit to send Mr. Hunt here so he may educate us on the legal points of our operations here on Sodor. Is this because of the nor'easters, sir? Why should we be made to suffer?
We are made to suffer, Diesel, because of the Duchess incident. Or have you forgotten it was your actions that got us fined? No, sir. Good. Now give Mr. Hunt your undivided attention.
Thank you, Mr. Zorro.
The first point I'd like to go over is the regulation regarding hazardous loads, which states in Articles 1 to 4 that such
I think this might be
loads
interesting.
must be-
Do you know what a simpleton is, Colin? No, what is it? If you ever get that chance, look in a mirror and you'll find out. Okay. On the western side of Sodor is the town of Arlesborough, which had always been a popular holiday spot due to its proximity to the sea. It is also here that the main line terminates, connecting with the narrow gauge Mid-Sodor Railway. At this time, 5 engines called the line home: Duke, Stuart, Falcon, Andreas, and Atlas. A point worth mentioning, I suppose, is that when the Railway Act was passed, its unification statutes only applied to standard gauge railways. Thus, narrow gauge lines like the Mid-Sodor and Skarloey railways remained privatised. The Mid-Sodor Railway winds through rugged hillsides and sweeping farmlands. Every year during harvest time, the farmers rely on the MSR to transport their produce to the transfer yards for delivery elsewhere across the island, and every year, Mr. Starr and Mr. Zorro engage in a bidding war for the delivery contract. This year, we Nor'easters got the contract. I was tasked with taking the first shipment, which Duke had brought down from the hills. While I waited for the workmen to transfer the goods aboard my train, I chatted at length with the MSR's number 1, whom the younger engines teasingly called Grandpuff.
My driver's been raving about this Amelia Earhart character for nearly a week now. Mine too. Can't say I blame him. The first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean? That takes guts and is worthy of respect in my eyes. I wonder what it would be like to fly. I suppose it'd be like rail travel, with its ups and downs. No pun intended. But then, not everything is rosy for aviators. Let's not forget Charles Lindbergh. Oh, I know. How awful was that? Like having your infant son kidnapped wasn't enough of an ordeal, but to find his body? Who would be cowardly enough to do that to a child? You said it yourself, Edward. Cowards. Okay, Edward, we're all done. Well, that's your load, Duke. I still need Stuart's. He's late. He's supposed to be bringing fresh produce down from the McKinley's farm. Well, I can't afford to wait. I have to leave right now, and I'll make sure to have a few words with the impertinent scallywag when he arrives. Try not to be too hard on him, Duke, old boy. No promises, Edward. What I didn't realise at the time was, as I pulled out of the yard, Stuart was thundering towards it. I was later told that he whistled, but I never heard it. By the time the MSR's number 3 arrived, I was long gone. What time do you call this, youngster? I know, Grandpuff, I know. I'm late. What's your excuse? No excuse. I simply dawdled. How refreshing. I'll have a word with the manager and hopefully he can arrange something with Mr. Starr. My destination was Knapford Harbour, where a ship from Cunard Liners was waiting to take the goods aboard my train to the mainland. My trip was mostly uneventful. I say mostly because ugly black clouds had been gathering in the sky overhead all morning. I had just passed through Tidmouth when the rain came bucketing down, ceaselessly hammering my boiler. When I reached Knapford, I was surprised to find Mr. Starr was waiting for me. I had barely stopped when he told me he had just gotten a call from Joseph Brandt, the manager of the Mid-Sodor Railway, telling him that Stuart had arrived shortly after I left. He must have been right there. I'm sorry, sir. That doesn't matter, Edward. I need you to head back to Arlesborough and pick up his load right away. I can't do that, sir. I have to take a colliery train in the next 10 minutes. Oh, that's right. Bother! Is something the matter, sir? This ship isn't meant to be leaving until tomorrow. That was the original idea, Edward, but the captain wants to leave before this storm gets any worse. Wouldn't it be safer to wait until after it passes? You would think so, but you know what Cunard Liners are like. Point taken, sir. When does the captain want to leave? Within the hour, and there's no one else... Percy! Percy! I need you to rush to Arlesborough and pick up a produce train right away. Me, sir? There's no one else here. Are you up for it or not? Yes, sir. I am. Very good. Pick it up as quickly as you can, but be safe about it. In this weather, accidents are just waiting to happen. Good luck. Something wrong, Percy? Oh, no, it's just... I haven't taken a train in weather like this before. If Mr. Starr didn't believe you were up to it, he wouldn't have asked. You think so? I know so. Now, get to it. Right! I watched as our number 6 scurried away, emboldened by the fact our director trusted him with this important task. The little shunter soon left the yard and headed towards Arlesborough, the wind and rain hammering all around. He maintained a steady but safe pace, cautiously travelling along the wet tracks, and took note of the rising waters of the canal near Marston Heights. I'm sorry to say, however, that Percy's exploits would not be without incident. He had no way of knowing that in the time since I had arrived at Knapford, Adam had done likewise at Arlesborough. The Middy's number 3 sweet-talked Stuart into letting him take the goods aboard his train to Knapford, which he legally couldn't do, not without permission from Mr. Starr. But Stuart didn't know that. Percy was unaware of Adam's duplicity until their paths crossed at Tidmouth. Heading to Arlesborough, Percy? You wasted a trip. I got you covered. You've got me. Hey, that's my train. Give it back. Finders keepers. That slimy thief. What was that, Percy? Oh, hello, Constable Simpson. That miserable middy has taken my train. Has he stolen it? Yes, in violation of Articles 219 of the Fair Transport Act. Well, I'll put a stop to that, don't you worry. The constable of the Tidmouth Police quickly rushed to the station master's office, using his telephone to contact Marston Heights with orders to wave down Adam before he passed. The station master complied, and Adam was forced to stop, utterly fuming, no doubt. Hey, what's all this then? Is the line flooded? No, Adam, we've received word that this train is legally the property of the LNER, which you have stolen from them. Stolen? Rubbish! I was just doing them a favour. Well, we'll have to wait until the police sort this out.
Adam was forced to return to Tidmouth, where his crew had a little chat with the police. In short, it was determined that the Middies No. 3 had broken the law by taking Percy's train without permission. Adam was shunted into the nearby shed, and Percy took the train on to Knapford. He hurried along the line as fast as safety permitted. He ultimately hadn't needed to, as the captain decided the storm had grown too fierce to risk leaving port. Therefore, the ship did not depart until the next day, with its entire cargo on board. The Middies suffered severe consequences for Adam's theft, as the entire Sodor branch was placed on probation and risked closure if they did not behave. And to be fair, they did. Even afterwards, they acted better towards us nor'easters. Well, better in that they never again actively tried to sabotage our operations. This turnaround wouldn't have happened if not for Percy and his uncanny grasp of the law. We were all very proud of how he had stopped Adam, especially Mr. Starr, who was glad at least one of us took something away from Mr. Ward's seminars. You're probably wondering at this point what became of Constable Bentley. To again be fair, we couldn't fault him for issuing the fine, but his behaviour towards us left a lot to be desired. He was always lurking about the stations and bridges, like he was waiting for an opportunity to hit us with some kind of infraction. We never gave him the satisfaction, and he ultimately had to resign a few months later after a scandal involving himself and the mayor's wife. With him gone, life improved dramatically for us on the Farquhar branch, whose line we continue to service diligently to this day.